It is currently 11:30, which means that in half an hour the Human Rights 24-hour readathon will start, and I'm really happy about it. And also, coincidentally, this falls on the same day as Zoe's 24-hour holiday readathon thingy, which is quite perfect because now I get to actually participate, because as you might remember, the last time I tried to participate in her 24-hour readathon, I didn't actually read that much. But now, nothing is gonna stop me from reading all day long because I'm prepared. So I have like 3 actual books on my TBR, and I have some like small backups like graphic novels and stuff like that. But I have 2 that I really want to get to that I already started, and then I have 1 that I have to read for uni that I also already started. So I'm just gonna go through them just real quick and tell you what I'm gonna read today. Or tomorrow, I guess. So the first one is Neringa by Stefan Stefan Moster, which I have already stripped of its dust jacket because I don't like dust jackets, though this one is actually quite pretty. And this book, I'm already halfway through, and I think I started it yesterday if I'm not quite mistaken. And I didn't realize how personal this would be for me. And it regards human rights because it's about a man in the 2nd generation after World War II who begins to find out some things about his granddad that he didn't know before. And yeah, that's interesting. It also deals a lot with depression and self-harm, which I didn't know before, and I would have liked a warning for that. Because the description of that is quite detailed. This is also gonna be the one I'm gonna start with now, because the other one is quite creepy. This is Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff, and I think I'm about a third through, a bit more than that. And yeah, this is getting really dark because this is actually a modern gothic novel, which is why I picked it up, along with this beautiful, stunning, gorgeous cover. And it is getting really, really like creepy and scary right now at the part where I'm at. So I'm not gonna read that at the middle of the night. But yeah, this is about a black family in America that isn't... I'm not quite sure if it's still in the separation of races or not. Or if it's like at the end of that. But yeah, it's about their struggle and the discrimination against them and how they fight against that. And then, of course, because it's a gothic novel, there's also like spooky, ghost, haunted houses, stuff like that, magic and stuff. But yeah, it's actually... It is really interesting because of all the fantastic elements, but it's also quite hard to read because of the depiction of race and discrimination that just is so real, and it hurts so much to know that that is real and to know that people actually had to go through that and still have in some parts of the world. And yeah, it hurts a lot, all my feelings, and then it's also spooky. But it's so good. It's so good. And then the third book is George Eliot's Felix Holt, which I have to read for one of my seminars, and it is divided into 3 parts within this one book, and I have already read the first 2 parts, so I still need to read the last, which I think is about... I think they're all about 140 pages long. Not quite sure. But yeah, this is about, as it says, Felix Holt the Radical, so it is a lot about like politics. It also has a little bit to do with like feminism, firstly because of course George Eliot, who is actually Marianne Evans, so the author is interesting feminist-wise, but then also one of the main characters, Esther, could be seen as kind of feminist. I guess it's an interpretation. But yeah, I'm also enjoying this a lot. I did try to take a little nap earlier to kind of prepare myself for 24 hours of being awake and reading, but I actually couldn't. I was too excited. And at the moment I'm good. I'm awake. I'm still kind of adrenalized. I am really happy. So we'll see how long this works. And what time is it now? Yeah, I still have a few minutes to go, but I think I'm gonna start reading now. It is now nearly 3 a.m. I'm done with this one, with Noinga. I think it was 114 pages. Because I did already start a lot of it. So I read about half of this. And now I'm done with it. It was really nice. I'm gonna talk about it in detail later. Now I'm just really tired, and I think I'm gonna sleep for a bit and then start something new. So it's now 8 a.m. We have a really beautiful sunrise, which I'm happy to see, and which is quite the nice setting for some reading. I'm about halfway done with George Eliot, so I'm gonna take a little break now, have some breakfast, watch some YouTube, look at Twitter to see what other people are reading, and yeah, afterwards gonna hopefully finish George Eliot. I'm actually quite proud of myself. I'm doing well. I'm a slow reader, so I'm happy with my process. But first, it's Advent calendar time. It is 1 p.m, bit past, yeah, just past 1 p.m, and I still have about 100 pages each with George Eliot and Lovecraft Country. I'm currently reading Lovecraft Country because it's light outside and the book is scary and I don't want to read it in the dark. But I do need a break right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bake, because why not? And whilst baking, I'm gonna watch Aschenbrödel, which is basically like a winter adaptation of Cinderella, and it's my favorite Christmas movie ever. I basically just watch this all December long, every day, all the time. I love it so much, it's so cute. And because it's a Cinderella adaptation, it also deals with like social classes and wealth and abuse and uprising of individuality and stuff like that. So it also kind of counts for like the human rights theme. beginning of the end. We only have 2 hours left. It's 10 o'clock now. And I still have about 50 pages of George Eliot left. I hope I'll manage to read it all. I will finish it anyways, but I would like to finish it before 12 o'clock, so we'll see. But I think, because my eyes are getting a bit tired. Like, my body isn't tired, my brain isn't tired, but my eyes are just falling shut by themselves. So I think I'm gonna make myself a cappuccino. And also, I'm gonna smash this little Santa Claus, this chocolate Santa Claus my parents sent me to kind of, come to kind of Christmas this readathon up on the last meters. Is it Christmassy to eat Santa Claus? I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna eat some chocolate and drink some cappuccino and read the last 50 pages, and hopefully I'll be able to do it in 2 hours. It is the next day now, and I thought I'd just give you a little wrap up of what I read in the entirety of the week, because yesterday I only finished books, and also this one I had to finish today because I didn't quite manage it yesterday. I did have a good reading yesterday. I did manage to stay up for nearly all the day, for nearly 24 hours. I slept about like 2.5 hours at the beginning. So first of all, as I said, Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. I had to finish this one today because it is quite spooky and I didn't want to read it in the dark. So this is like a modern gothic novel, or at least that's what it's marketed as. I'm not quite sure if I would agree, but it is like a spooky horror mystery magic story. So there's haunted houses and ghosts and magic people and stuff like that. And the reason I chose this for the human rights theme is because all of the main characters are of color, and that is also very obvious in the stories because it's a lot about their discrimination and a lot about the separation in America, which I think in this story isn't like official any longer, but there is still separation and they are still discriminated a lot, and they talk about like violence and shootings and how some people don't let them in at certain places. So it was really, really difficult to read that because I knew that that part wasn't actually fictional. So it's really heavy on that side. However, from the writing style, it's really beautiful. I loved the way it was done because all the main characters belong to one family, and they all show up in the chapters, but basically we have like different parts that are short stories, and each short story has one of the family members as the main character, and then they all like fit together as one gigantic main story with like the same antagonist and the same like goal and stuff like this. So it was really interesting to see how it was done. The writing was just amazing. I really felt in the scene, which for the horror parts was also kind of not so great, but it was really well done. The characters themselves were so realistic. They were really round and they really, like, they were detailed. You could actually imagine meeting people like that on the street, so it was really interesting. And yeah, I loved this book. I would really recommend it. Then I finished George Eliot's Felix Holt the Radical. I don't know if you can read this. I have to read this for university because I'm doing a course on George Eliot, which I really, really enjoy. She's such a fascinating person. And this book is divided into 3 parts, and I had to read the 3rd part because the first ones I've already read the past weeks. So at the 3rd part of this, and yeah, it was just really great. I enjoy George Eliot's writing so much, especially like the feminist aspects of it, which is why I chose this for the human rights theme, and also because obviously as Felix Holt the Radical, it's also a lot about politics and like Whigs against Tories and then the new radicals and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of talk about like social classes, and with the feminist aspect, like how women can marry up and things like that. So it's just really interesting. The characters are always a bit stereotypical, but then as you continue reading, like between the lines, you learn more about them. So that's really interesting. And yeah, I really love George Eliot's writing, and if you have never read anything by her, I'd really recommend it. And not really this one, because it is quite on the heavy side with the politics, so there were some things that I didn't quite understand and that would be difficult if you don't know much about politics at the time. So I would recommend Silas Marner by her. But yeah, George Eliot is just one of my favorite authors. The next book I read was actually a German one, which was Neringa oder die andere Art der Heimkehr by Stefan Moster. I knew that there were aspects of World War II, but I didn't realize that it was also partly set in the town I live now. So that was really funny to like read things where they walk down the streets and I knew where they were and stuff like that. So I chose this because, as I said, there's talk about World War II, so basically it's about a man who lives in our time now, and he's the second generation after World War II, and begins to kind of discover some things or think about stories that his grandpa told, who was in World War II and who was a soldier. So there's a few things about that. Actually, it wasn't that much about it, it was more of like the grandpa as a person, but there always were little bits that came up, and there was a lot of description of the family life and the emotional consequences that the war had on his grandparents. So that was really interesting. What I would have loved would have been some trigger warnings for depression and self-harm and self-hatred, because the main character suffers a lot from that, and that just wasn't obvious from the description or anything. So it was quite hard-hitting. It was wonderfully written. It was so like easy to read. I flew through this, which was obviously wonderful for a readathon. Then I reread the graphic novel Love is Love, which is a comic anthology in reaction to the shooting in Orlando, and it has loads of different creations of different artists. It's just, it's so gorgeous and wonderful and emotional, and I cry every time, and I just love it so much. And also some of the money always goes to charity to support LGBT members and the families of the victims of Orlando. So I would just really definitely recommend checking it out. It is gorgeous, and so many aspects are in it, not only like the shooting itself, and I'll leave a link down below where you can buy it, and with that, yeah, help our community. And I also re-listened to, I think, the first 6 or 7 chapters of The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by, is it Mackenzie? I'm not quite sure. Just in between when I was taking a little break from reading, and it's just so amazing. I listened to it completely during the booktubeathon, and it was just so wonderful, especially the audiobook, because it's read in such an amazing, like, posh voice. So I chose that for the human rights theme because, of course, the main character is somehow in the queer community. Maybe he's bi, we're not quite sure. Also, there's talk about feminism and racism, and yeah, just like social classes and how your identity can affect your social class. So it was really interesting, and again, it's also really funny. So with those rather heavy books on the topics that were actually quite hard-hitting, it was just nice to have this rather funny look on things that still, yeah, conveyed a lot of important points. So I'm quite happy with my reading for this week and for yesterday, and I would love to know what you read, and I hope you had an amazing time. Bye!